The icy plains of Crinus stretched endlessly, white and unforgiving. The outpost, small and fragile against the vast frozen world, gleamed under the dim sun. Inside, the humans and Kryn moved with purpose, repairing systems and preparing for the inevitable. Commander Rain's faction would return, stronger and determined to take Kryn and the outpost's advanced technology. Alara Miles stood in the central control room, her eyes fixed on the horizon. "They're coming back," she said quietly. "We have to be ready." Mike O'Harris checked the instruments. "Their fleet is larger than before. They'll try to overwhelm us quickly. But we have one advantage they expect: fear. We have courage, strategy, and Kryn stood nearby, glowing softly. It had grown stronger over the past days, recovering from frostbite and injury, but still retained a delicate fragility. Its intelligence and understanding of human behavior had been invaluable in strengthening the outpost. Alara approached the alien. "Are you ready?" she asked. Kryn touched her shoulder lightly, a gesture of trust and determination. Though it could not speak in full sentences, its meaning was clear. "Together, we survive." The storm clouds on the horizon twisted, not with snow, but with dust and energy. As Rain's fleet approached, their vehicles cut through the frozen plains, engines roaring, metal flashing in the weak sunlight. Humans and Kryn moved quickly to finalize their defenses. Ice barriers were reinforced with energy fields, doorways blocked with reinforced panels, and turbines were routed to power shields around key points of the outpost. Rain's forces arrived in waves, attempting to breach the perimeter. The first line of defense held, using the environment to their advantage. Humans guided by Kryn redirected wind-powered turbines to blast snow and ice at advancing vehicles, slowing them down. Soldiers slipped on frozen ground, while humans inside the outpost took calculated positions to guard entrances. Alara led the team, moving swiftly from station to station. "Remember," she shouted over the chaos, "we are not just defending walls. We are defending trust, courage, and life itself." The enemy hesitated, realizing that the human strategy was unconventional. They expected compliance, fear, and panic. Instead, they faced intelligence, innovation, and moral courage. Kryn, with its advanced knowledge, directed humans to reinforce energy shields, identify structural weak points, and use Crinus' extreme environment against the invaders. A vehicle skidded dangerously close to the main entrance. Maiko and two others lured it toward a prepared trap. Using redirected energy beams and frozen conduits, the vehicle was immobilized, its engine stalled by the extreme cold amplified by Kryn's techniques. The humans moved quickly, taking control without harming anyone unnecessarily. Rain's face twisted with frustration. "This is impossible. How are humans defending against us so effectively?" Alara smiled, her breath visible in the cold air. "Because humanity survives through courage, not fear. Through ingenuity, not brute force. And through compassion, not cruelty." Kryn's presence became a turning point. It guided humans through complex maneuvers, using its knowledge of energy, structure, and terrain to protect both people and the outpost. The aliens' glowing eyes scanned constantly, detecting weaknesses in the enemy's strategy before they could exploit them. Every action Kryn suggested worked, giving the humans a clear advantage despite being outnumbered. The battle intensified. Rain's faction pressed harder, but the humans adapted with rapid ingenuity. They used ice formations as natural barriers, energy fields to redirect attacks, and coordinated human-alien strategies to outsmart and disable intruders. Each human acted with precision, courage, and creativity, showing that intelligence and moral resolve were stronger than sheer numbers. During a critical moment, one of the engineers, a young woman named Lena, realized a breach was imminent. A section of the outer wall was weak, and enemy soldiers were about to force entry. Without hesitation, she activated a makeshift shield, diverting power from other systems to create an energy barrier. The maneuver was risky, leaving her exposed, but it succeeded in holding the line long enough for others to reinforce it. Alara watched with pride and concern. "Lena," she shouted, but the young engineer nodded, determination in her eyes. Humanity's courage was not limited to the leaders. It thrived in every individual willing to act for the greater good. Kryn moved alongside the humans, offering support. Its touch stabilized energy conduits and recalibrated shields in real time. Though still recovering, the alien's intelligence shone brilliantly in the chaos. It communicated silently with Alara, its gestures and expressions guiding her to critical decisions. Together, they were unstoppable. Finally, the turning point came. Using a combination of human ingenuity and Kryn's advanced understanding, the outpost's defenders created a trap that forced Rain's vehicles into a confined icy corridor. The extreme cold, amplified by energy fields and natural terrain, immobilized the enemy. The humans moved with efficiency, capturing the intruders without unnecessary violence. Rain himself was forced to retreat. His faction, disorganized and demoralized, had no choice but to withdraw across the frozen plains. As they disappeared over the horizon, Alara exhaled deeply, her heart still racing. "It's over. For now," she said. Inside the outpost, humans and Kryn gathered. Exhausted but victorious, they shared a quiet moment of relief. The battle had been won not through fear or aggression, but through collaboration, courage, and the willingness to act morally. Even when faced with overwhelming odds, Kryn approached Alara, its eyes glowing softly. It touched her hand in gratitude. Though it could not speak fully, the meaning was clear. "You are truly human. Your strength is more than survival. It is courage, empathy, and ingenuity." Alara smiled, feeling a deep sense of pride. "We are humans," she said quietly. "We survive because we care. We survive because we refuse to give up on what is right." The following days were spent repairing damage, reinforcing defenses, and preparing for the future. Kryn helped humans understand advanced energy systems, insulation techniques, and environmental adaptation. In return, humans shared their knowledge of resource management, engineering, and survival in extreme conditions. Together, they built something stronger than the outpost alone, a partnership based on trust, respect, and mutual learning. As repairs were completed, Kryn approached Alara with a small device. It had a shape unlike any human technology, yet it radiated calm and intelligence. Through gestures and soft words, it conveyed a simple message. It had the means to return home, to travel to distant stars. Alara felt a pang of emotion. She had grown attached to Kryn, to its intelligence, empathy, and courage. Yet she knew the alien's journey was not hers to keep. "You can go," she said softly. "You've taught us so much. You've shown us that humanity's best traits, compassion, courage, ingenuity, are worth trusting. You deserve to return home." Kryn hesitated, looking at the humans who had become its family. Then it nodded, understanding. It touched each human lightly, a gesture of farewell and gratitude. When it finally left, the outpost watched silently as it disappeared into the icy horizon, a streak of light against the frozen world. Alara turned to her team, her heart full. "We've proven something important," she said. "Even in the coldest, darkest place, humans can shine. We survived together, we defended life, and we acted with courage. That is who we are." The outpost, once fragile and isolated, now stood stronger than ever. The storm had passed, but the lessons endured. Humans thrived not through fear, domination, or violence, but through intelligence, compassion, and moral courage. Kryn had arrived alone, desperate, and scared, but humanity had shown it warmth, protection, and hope. As the sun set over the icy plains, casting long shadows and a soft glow on the outpost, Alara felt a quiet satisfaction. The universe was vast and full of challenges, but she knew humanity could rise to meet them. With courage, ingenuity, and empathy, no obstacle was too great. The night was still bitter, and Krynus remained a harsh world. But inside the outpost, warmth endured not just from heaters and energy fields, but from the very essence of humanity itself. Alara knew that the story of humans and their alien friend was only one chapter in a much larger journey. Together, humans had shown that even the coldest night could be filled with hope, courage, and life. And as the stars began to sparkle faintly above the frozen horizon, One truth was clear: humanity's light, fueled by compassion and courage, would burn bright in the universe, no matter how cold, dark, or distant the challenges might be. The icy storm that had battered Crinus for days finally began to ease, but the damage it left behind reminded the humans of the planet's unforgiving nature. The outpost, though intact, was scarred. Broken panels, frost-clogged conduits, and weakened walls demanded constant attention. Alara and her team worked tirelessly, repairing, reinforcing, and learning from Kryn's guidance. Kryn's presence had become integral. It moved confidently among the humans, offering insights, adjusting systems, and teaching them ways to survive the ice with efficiency that no human alone could have imagined. Alara often marveled at how quickly the alien adapted, bridging the gap between two worlds with intelligence and empathy. But the humans' calm was fragile. Far across the icy plains, a group of vehicles approached, their engines cutting through the cold silence like thunder. A rival human faction had arrived, officially sanctioned by a distant authority, claiming control over Crinus. Their leader, Commander Rain, was stern, calculating, and unwilling to see Kryn as anything other than a tool to exploit. As the vehicles rolled to a halt, Rain and his team stepped onto the frozen ground, scanning the outpost with sharp, evaluating eyes. "Dr. Miles," Rain called, his voice loud over the wind. "We have authority here. You are to surrender any alien life forms and all related data immediately. Compliance will ensure your safety. Resistance will not." Alara stepped forward, placing herself between Kryn and the newcomers. "This isn't just data. Kryn is alive. It is intelligent and sentient. You cannot treat it like an object to take or study." Rain's eyes narrowed. "You humans always think empathy will save you. It won't. This alien can be a bridge to knowledge, power, and resources beyond your comprehension." "Step aside, Dr. Miles," Michael Harris whispered to Alara. "They could overpower us. We're outnumbered, and they have better weapons." Alara shook her head firmly. "We will not betray what we know is right. Humanity's strength isn't just in firepower. It's in courage, ingenuity, and moral choice. We will defend Kryn." Kryn, sensing the tension, stepped closer to Alara. It touched her shoulder lightly, a gesture of trust and solidarity. Its glowing eyes met hers, and in that silent moment, she knew the alien believed in humans as fiercely as she believed in protecting it. Rain's team moved toward the outpost, and a tense standoff began. Humans inside the facility readied tools, barricades, and improvised defenses. The storm had left Crinus a harsh battlefield, and Alara saw opportunity in every icy crevice. She turned to Kryn. "We need a plan," she whispered. Kryn's hands moved swiftly over panels and systems. Though its voice was limited, it conveyed ideas: how to use the environment to their advantage, ways to redirect energy flows, and techniques to outmaneuver the intruders. The humans listened carefully, realizing that the aliens' knowledge of survival and its understanding of advanced technology was key to overcoming a threat they could not match in numbers or firepower. The first clash was subtle. Rain's team attempted to breach the outer walls, but the humans, guided by Kryn's strategies, had reinforced entry points with freezing conduits that made metal brittle, and doors nearly unbreakable. As one soldier tried to force a panel, it cracked and froze, leaving him struggling as Alara and the team held their positions. Kryn moved alongside the humans, offering solutions faster than they could implement alone. It showed them how to redirect energy through the storm-powered turbines, creating temporary shields of ice and frost that slowed the enemy's advance. As the standoff continued, Alara realized the rival faction underestimated human ingenuity. They expected fear and compliance. Instead, they met coordinated tactics, quick thinking, and the resourcefulness that had allowed humans to survive for centuries. In unforgiving environments, hours passed. The battle was one of strategy, patience, and adaptation rather than outright destruction. Rain's team tried repeatedly to push forward, but the humans, guided by Kryn, anticipated each move, using traps, energy diversions, and even the storm itself to their advantage. In a quiet moment, Alara looked at Kryn. "You're teaching them, aren't you?" You're showing them that humans can rise above fear. Kryn tilted its head, its glowing eyes reflecting a soft warmth. Though words were limited, the meaning was clear. You are capable. We are partners. Together, we survived. By nightfall, the outpost had transformed. What had once been simple walls and rooms now resembled a defensive stronghold, reinforced with both human and alien ingenuity. Humans moved with confidence, using new methods of communication, energy management, and strategic thinking. Rain, observing the resilience of the outpost, realized the situation was no longer simple. He called a temporary retreat. "We'll be back," he warned. "This isn't over." But even as the faction retreated, something remarkable had occurred. Humans had discovered that courage was not just about facing danger. It was about combining intelligence, morality, and empathy to overcome impossible odds. They had defended not only themselves but another sentient being, proving that humanity's strength extended beyond mere survival. The night after the confrontation, the storm had passed. The outpost glimmered under Kryn's faint sun, warm and alive. Humans worked quietly, repairing minor damages and reinforcing the systems Kryn had helped implement. The alien moved among them, curious but calm, learning the humans' ways and teaching its own. Alara sat beside Kryn in the observation room, looking out at the icy plains. "You saw their fear, didn't you?" she asked softly. Kryn nodded, a faint sound escaping its lips, almost like a whisper. "Fear. Yes, but courage. Stronger." Alara smiled. "That's humanity. We have fear, but we do not let it define us. We act with compassion, ingenuity, and courage even when the odds are against us. That is why we survived, and why we will survive here." Kryn reached out and touched her hand, a gesture that symbolized more than trust. It was understanding, recognition, and hope. The alien had come seeking help, and in doing so, humans had found a reflection of themselves, beings capable of greatness not through domination or control, but through empathy, intelligence, and moral choice. As the outpost settled into quiet routines, Alara realized that the challenge they faced was only the beginning. Krynus was a harsh world, but beyond it lay the stars and possibilities that humanity had yet to imagine. Kryn's presence was a reminder that the universe was not simply a place to survive, but a place to learn, grow, and rise to challenges in ways that define true strength. Yet danger lingered. Commander Rain's faction would return, stronger and more determined. And somewhere across the stars, other threats or allies waited. The humans, however, now understood something profound. With intelligence, empathy, and courage, they could face even the unknown, and protect those who could not protect themselves. The night was silent now. Inside the outpost, warmth and life endured. Humans and their alien companions shared a bond forged through trust and adversity. The universe was vast, cold, and unpredictable, but inside these walls, hope burned bright. Alara looked at Kryn, her heart steady with resolve. "No matter what comes," she said softly, "we will face it together. Humanity has never backed down from a challenge, and we will not start now. You are not alone. We are with you." Kryn's eyes glimmered. In their shared silence, a promise was made not just of survival, but of partnership. Humans and alien, bound by courage, empathy, and mutual respect, would meet the trials of Krynus and the universe side by side. Outside, Krynus remained a harsh and unforgiving world. But inside, the outpost stood as a testament to humanity's greatest power, the ability to act with moral courage, ingenuity, and compassion, even when faced with the unknown. And in the distance, hidden by the icy horizon, the faint outlines of Rain's retreating faction promised a future confrontation. Humanity would need every ounce of its resourcefulness, bravery, and moral strength to protect Kryn, the outpost, and the ideals that defined them. The night was bitter, but the warmth of humanity burned brighter than the cold. The icy wind continued to rage outside, but inside the human outpost, the atmosphere was tense yet alive. The outpost's heating systems worked overtime, casting a warm glow over the metallic walls, and the soft hum of machinery created a steady rhythm that comforted the humans and Kryn. Alara Miles moved carefully through the observation room, carrying a tray with warm liquids and nutrient-rich food. Kryn sat on a reinforced chair, its long fingers wrapped around a small cup, drinking slowly. Its glowing eyes followed her every movement, curious but cautious. "You need energy," Alara said softly. "It will help you recover faster." Kryn tilted its head and made a sound that resembled a gentle sigh. Its voice was strange, a mixture of musical tones and soft clicks. Yet somehow, Alara could feel its meaning: gratitude. "Look at this," Dr. Michael Harris said, stepping forward with a tablet. "I ran a scan on the pod. It's not human, obviously, but it's biology. It's surprisingly similar in some ways. Heart, lungs, basic skeletal structure. It's intelligent too. See these neural patterns? They're complex." The other scientists leaned in, amazed. Humanity had discovered alien life before, but never one that seemed so aware, so capable of communication. Kryn had survived in the freezing void of Crinus, alone and injured. And yet it had reached out for help, something no machine or wild creature could do. Vance, the head of the outpost, frowned. "It's remarkable, yes, but we don't know what it's capable of. It could be dangerous. It could be carrying something we cannot detect. Protocol still says isolation." Alara shook her head. "Isolation won't save it. It could die without warmth and interaction. Humanity's strength is not in fear. It's in trust and compassion. If we act wisely, we can help it and learn from it." For a moment, the room was silent. Then Kryn lifted a hand and touched the glass of a display screen, tracing glowing lines of data. It was studying their technology, its curiosity evident. It understood more than anyone realized. Alara knelt beside it. "You've traveled far, haven't you?" she asked. Kryn looked at her, eyes shimmering, and slowly made gestures that resembled pointing to a distant sky, then a series of clicks. Alara guessed that it was trying to describe its home, a place far beyond the stars, now lost. The revelation was humbling. Humans had always imagined that other life in the universe might exist, but seeing it, understanding its loss, and feeling its trust made the galaxy feel closer, more real, and yet so fragile. Over the next several days, Kryn began to recover. Its voice remained limited, but it communicated through gestures, expressions, and occasional words that humans could understand. It learned basic human speech quickly, mimicking phrases and sounds. It was eager to understand, and more importantly, to connect. Lara watched this process with awe. "It's amazing," she said to Michael. "It's learning so fast. It's mine. It's brilliant. This could be the most important discovery humanity has ever made." Michael nodded, still cautious. "Yes, but remember, not everyone here trusts it. Some of the staff are uneasy. Fear is natural, and some of it is justified. We need to be careful." The tension in the outpost grew. While Kryn interacted peacefully, not everyone was ready to embrace the unknown. A few researchers whispered about quarantine procedures and containment. Some argued that humans were putting themselves at risk by allowing an alien to roam freely within the facility. Lara, however, refused to let fear dominate. "Kryn is not our enemy," she insisted. "It is in danger, just like we would be if we were stranded here. Our choice is simple: help it or watch it die." "I say we help." Slowly, even Vance seemed to soften. He watched Kryn explore the lab, observing, learning, and sometimes imitating human actions. The alien's curiosity and gentle demeanor were undeniable. For all their caution, humans could not help but admire it. One evening, as the storm outside grew fierce, Kryn made a sudden gesture that startled everyone. It pointed to the main communications console and tapped repeatedly. Then it looked at Alara and said, in a soft, hesitant voice, "Message." Earth. Alara's heart raced. "You want to contact Earth?" she asked. Kryn nodded. It pressed its fingers to the console, manipulating the human technology in a way that was both strange and precise. It was clear that this alien had knowledge far beyond their own. Michael studied the patterns on the screen. "It's adapting to our systems faster than I expected. It's not just learning, it's analyzing. If it can operate communication technology, Maybe it can help us improve our own equipment. The idea sparked excitement in the team. Humans had always relied on ingenuity and learning from others. Kryn's presence offered not just knowledge, but a chance to improve their survival in a hostile environment. Yet danger loomed. The storm outside was worsening. Crynus had a way of reminding humans that nature, not alien life, was always the first test of endurance. Equipment failures began to occur, power fluctuations, communications disruptions, and structural creaks that echoed through the outpost. Alara worked alongside Kryn to reinforce the facility. The aliens' understanding of energy and structural integrity was astonishing. It suggested modifications to the heating systems, adjustments to energy flow, and improvements to insulation. Humans implemented these changes with careful hands, marveling at how Kryn's intelligence complemented their own. It was during this time that the humans began to realize a truth about themselves. Their strength was not just in their technology or survival instincts. It was in their ability to work together, to trust one another, and to extend care even to the unknown. In Kryn, they saw a reflection of the potential that humanity carried, the courage to act morally, even when the consequences were uncertain. Days passed, and Kryn's recovery continued. It learned simple games, mimicked human movements, and even began to express emotions: joy, curiosity, and cautious humor. The alien laughed in its own melodic way, and humans found themselves laughing too. A bond formed, fragile yet undeniable, between species separated by light years but united by need and empathy. One night, as Alara checked on Kryn before sleeping, the alien gestured to the frozen windows, pointing to the endless white plains beyond. Its voice was soft, almost a whisper, cold. "Lonely, safe." Here Alara smiled gently. "You are safe, Kryn. We will not leave you alone. Humanity may be small in the universe, but we know how to survive and to care. That is what makes us strong." Kryn's eyes glimmered with understanding. In that moment, it was clear. The aliens saw humans not as predators or strangers, but as allies, capable of warmth in the coldest night. But beyond the walls of the outpost, Crynus continued to test them. Icequakes shook the frozen plains, and the storm showed no sign of relenting. The humans and their alien companion were safe for now, but survival on this planet demanded constant vigilance. As the storm raged outside, the outpost hummed with life. Humans worked side by side with Kryn, learning and adapting. They repaired broken systems, reinforced weakened structures, and found new ways to harvest energy from the frozen winds. In every action, the message was clear: when humans work together, when they combine courage, intelligence, and empathy, they could overcome even the harshest conditions. Kryn, once alone and desperate, had found warmth and protection. The humans, in turn, had discovered an opportunity to test the very best of themselves. In the cold and darkness, trust had become their weapon and compassion their shield. Yet, in the back of Alara's mind, a thought persisted. This was only the beginning. Kryn's arrival was not an accident. Something had sent it here, something beyond Crynus. And if humanity could rise to meet this challenge, what else might they face in the universe? For now, though, the outpost was alive, and the humans were learning to embrace a new truth. The universe was vast, full of danger and wonder, and humanity's greatest power was not in machines or weapons, but in their ability to act with courage, ingenuity, and a heart willing to help even the unknown. Outside, the storm continued its relentless dance across the icy plains. Inside, warmth, life, and hope endured. And in a small, glowing corner of the outpost, a human and an alien shared a bond that would define the future of both their worlds. The icy winds of Crynus howled like a living thing, sweeping across the barren plains of the human colony. Snow and frost clung to the edges of the research outpost, glinting faintly under the dim light of the distant sun. It was a planet that tested every human limit: cold, lonely, and merciless, but humanity had not left it. Humans had built a small foothold here, a place where science could thrive and their courage could shine. Dr. Alara Miles stood by the main observation window, staring at the endless white horizon. Her breath fogged the glass as she sipped her lukewarm tea. Sleep had been difficult lately. The long nights of cryness made every hour feel like a test of endurance. The silence of the outpost was heavy, broken only by the faint hum of machinery and the occasional creak of ice. Under the building's supports, then, a sound broke the quiet. A faint, crackling signal came through the intercom. At first, it seemed like nothing more than static, a misfire of the communication system. But then a voice spoke, weak and trembling. "Human, please. Don't leave me alone. In the cold. Let me in." Alara froze. Her fingers tightened around her mug. The words were not structured like any automated distress call she had ever encountered. They were full of fear and hope. "Did anyone else hear that?" she asked, turning to her colleague, Dr. Myko Harris, who was seated across the room. Myko shook his head. "Probably a glitch in the comms. Cryness storms play tricks on the system all the time. Don't get your hopes up." But Alara felt a tug in her chest she could not ignore. Something in the voice was different. It was alive, desperate, and human-like in emotion. Even if it was not human, she knew ignoring it could mean leaving someone or something out there to die. Against protocol. She grabbed her snow survival suit and checked her rover. The vehicle was small but sturdy, built for extreme conditions. The colony discouraged unsanctioned excursions. But Alara had faced worse storms in her years of research. If she could just find the source of the signal, she might save a life. The winds had picked up by the time she reached the outer edge of the colony. Snow whipped around her like tiny knives, and visibility dropped to almost nothing. Yet Alara drove forward, guided by the faint pulses of the signal. The screen in front of her flickered, showing the location as a point far to the east. It was risky, nearly a kilometer from the safety of the outpost, but she could not turn back. Hours passed. The storm grew heavier, and the cold seeped through even her thick suit. Her fingers were stiff, her face numb, but she pressed on. Then, through the blinding white, she saw something, a shape, almost hidden by the snow, glimmering faintly with a strange light. The rover skidded to a stop. There, half buried in snow, was a small exploration pod damaged, its metal twisted and frozen over. And inside, a figure. It was humanoid in shape, but unlike anything Alara had ever seen. Its skin shimmered faintly, as if dusted with frost that refused to melt. Its eyes, large and glowing softly, reflected the storm's pale light. The creature shivered, and it tried to lift a hand toward her. "Please, don't leave me." Alara's heart pounded. She opened the rover door, letting the cold rush in before carefully lifting the being into the vehicle. It was surprisingly light, its frame fragile, yet it moved with a cautious intelligence. She wrapped it in the spare thermal blankets she carried, and covered its head to protect it from frostbite. "You're safe now," she whispered, even though she had no idea if it understood. The alien looked at her with wide, unblinking eyes, and a small nod confirmed it did. The journey back to the outpost was slow. The storm had worsened, and the rover struggled through deep snowdrifts. Alara kept speaking softly, telling the alien stories of the colony, of humans, of warmth and safety. It listened, its head tilted in curiosity, occasionally reaching out to touch her gloved hand. By the time they arrived, frost covered the rover, and Alara's suit was soaked in icy moisture. But the creature, now rested under blankets, seemed calmer. The outpost's lights glimmered through the storm, a small promise of warmth in a cold, unkind world. Her colleagues had gathered when they saw the rover approaching. Myko's eyes widened at the sight of the alien. What is that?" he stammered. Alara helped the being out of the vehicle, guiding it to the observation room where they could monitor its condition. "I don't know," she admitted, "but it called for help. It was alone in the cold. I couldn't leave it out there." Some of the other researchers murmured uneasily. Dr. Vance, the head of the outpost, crossed his arms. "Alara, this is highly irregular. We don't know what it is. It could be dangerous. It could carry pathogens. Protocol says we isolate unknown life forms immediately." Alara shook her head. "It is clearly intelligent. It understands fear and trust. If we treat it like a threat, it may die before we even know anything about it." Vance sighed but made no move to stop her. The alien whom Alara had begun to call Krimwatch the humans quietly. It tried to mimic their gestures, cautiously exploring its surroundings, touching surfaces, and studying them with evident curiosity. Over the next few hours, Krim began to respond more. Its voice was strange, a mixture of tones and clicks, but it managed a few words that Alara could understand. Cold. Lost home. Help. It was clear that Crinus had not been its home for long. Something had gone wrong, leaving it stranded, alone, and near death. The thought weighed heavily on Alara. She thought about humanity's own struggles in the universe, the courage, the ingenuity, and the empathy that had allowed humans to survive in places no other species dared. And now, here was a being from another world, in need of the same kindness humans had relied on themselves. Alara worked through the night to stabilize Kryn. She monitored its vitals, adjusted temperature levels, and even created a small, makeshift habitat using the outpost's resources. She explained to her colleagues that the alien survival depended on trust and care. And slowly, some began to help, realizing that humanity's strength was not just technology or firepower, but the ability to act with compassion even when the outcome was uncertain. By morning, Kryn was awake and alert. Its glowing eyes followed every human in the room, but it always returned to Alara, the one who had shown it mercy in the frozen night. For the first time since it had called for help, it seemed safe. Alara looked out at the horizon, where the sun barely rose above the icy plains. "You're safe now, Kryn," she said softly. "We'll help you. You're not alone anymore." The alien tilted its head, a gesture that seemed almost human. It touched her gloved hand in gratitude. It could not speak more yet, but the connection was clear. To beings from different worlds, brought together by necessity, trust, and empathy, yet outside. The wind continued to howl, and the endless cold reminded them that Crinus was not forgiving. Danger lingered, not just from nature, but from the unknown. Humans had survived in harsh conditions before, but could they protect something so fragile from both the environment and the fear within themselves? Alara did not doubt it. Humanity had a history of facing impossible odds and overcoming them. And now, Kryn had given them another reason to prove their courage and compassion. The night was bitter, the winds were unkind, but for the first time, there was warmth inside the outpost. A fragile warmth, yes, but it was enough to light hope in the darkness. And Alara knew that this was only the beginning. Something extraordinary had entered their lives, and the story of humans and this alien was about to unfold. Outside, the frozen plains stretched endlessly, but inside, humanity's light burned steady and strong.